According to the new Living Planet Index, populations of mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians and fish have declined by an average of 52%. In Ghana alone, the lion population in one reserve fell by 90%, while populations of freshwater species have fallen by a staggering 76% in the last 4 decades. The index tracked more than 10,000 species from 1970 to 2010. The report blames human activity for the alarming drop in numbers, with habitats destroyed more quickly than they can be replaced. Well, they're alarming figures. The report was produced with the London Zoological Society. Freeman is here with me now, conservationist with the Society. Robin, they do seem quite alarming, these figures. Is it worse than you imagined it would be?
Very much so. I think this is a report that, in collaboration with the WWF, we produce biennially every 2 years. And I think that when we looked at the statistics and the populations that we were tracking this time, it's much worse than we previously thought.
Now, which species are worst affected?
So one of the examples you gave, the lions have been quite badly affected over the last 40 years. But for example, forest elephants have also seen about a 60% decline in the last 10 years. Tigers over the last 100 years have seen about a 90% decline worldwide.
Freshwater species as well?
Freshwater species, yeah. So there are some frog species. There's about 3 species in Puerto Rico that have been seen to go extinct in the over the last decade or two. And we've seen in a variety of other similar species catastrophic declines.
Is this our fault, Robin?
There's a number of, when we identify the threats that these populations are facing, we see that habitat degradation and habitat loss are some of the largest threats facing these populations, which are likely due to human impacts. Other factors that seem to cause these declines are things like exploitation by human industry and an increasing amount of climate change is affecting these populations as well.
The figures are staggering, but the warnings have been there for years. I mean, are you getting the sense that no one's listening?
I think that it would be great if this was taken as a wake-up call to people to say, look, if we've lost about 50% of the animals in the wild in the last 40 years, in our lifetimes, this is the point where we should stop this. We should make our living more sustainable, we should reduce our footprints and try to get to a point where we can stop these declines.
So you don't feel like it's irreversible? You think that things can change?
No, I don't think this is inevitable. I think there's various examples of places where people have managed to reduce their footprints while maintaining the standard of living which we expect, but we're going to have to do it together. It's going to have to be an industry, a business, a government policy that's going to bring us together to reduce our impacts.
There are, of course, different ecological footprints, as you've mentioned. I mean, who are the worst offenders?
So some of the Western countries, the States, the UK, don't do very well on ecological footprints, but we have quite a high standard of living. There are some examples of places like Brazil and Turkey who have managed to increase their standard of living without substantially increasing their footprint. So it is possible to achieve increases in the standard of living without increasing our footprint.
So is there a model that we should be looking at now, a country that's doing the right thing?
I don't know if there's one particular model, but I think if we can bring together the whole of our civilization to look at how we can approach these things more sustainably, to increase our use of sustainable resources, to decrease our footprints on various industries, then maybe we can make this change together.
And is there a success story with some of the animals, with some of the species?
There are some really nice examples. In the UK, for example, red kites have gone from just at the edge of extinction to about over 2,000 breeding pairs in the last few decades. So that's about 10% of the global population is now within the UK alone. So.